The topic about discussion is data encryption standards, DES algorithm in cryptography and network security. Data encryption standard is a symmetric key block cipher algorithm. The algorithm is based on digital network. The algorithm uses a 56-bit key and to encrypt the data in 64-bit blocks. When 64-bit blocks of plain text go in, 64-bit blocks of cipher text come out. It is also a symmetric algorithm, meaning the same key is used for encryption and decryption. It uses a 64-bit key, 56 bits make up the true key, and 8 bits are used for parity. The data encryption standard algorithm DES have been found unvulnerable to very powerful attacks, and therefore the popularity of DES have been found slightly on the decline. DES is a block cipher and encrypts data in blocks of size of 64 bits each, which means 64 bit of plain text go as the input to the DES, which produces 64 bits of cipher text. The same algorithm and key are used for encryption and decryption with minor differences. The key length is 56 bit. The basic how steps how DES works. In the first step, the 64-bit plain text block is handed over to an initial permutation IP function. The initial permutation is performed on plain text. Next, the initial permutation IP produces two halves of the permutated block, saying left plain text and right plain text. Now each LPT and RPT go through 16 rounds of the encryption process. In the end, LPT and RPT are rejoined and a final permutation is performed on the combined block. The result of this process produces 64-bit cipher text. The initial permutation IP happens only once, and it happens before the first round. It suggests how the transportation in IP should proceed. For example, it says that the IP replaces the first bit of the original plain text block with the 58th bit of the original plain text, the second bit with the 50th bit of the original plain text block, and so on. In this diagram, initially the key is transformed, and in the next step, expansion permutation is counted, and in the next step, S-box permutation is encrypted, and in the next step, P-box permutations is encrypted, and at last XOR and swap technique is followed. In the first step of key transformation, initial 64-bit key is transformed into a 56-bit key by discarding every 8th bit of the initial key. For each 56-bit key is available. From this 56 bits key, a different 48 bits subkey is generated during each round using a process called key transformations. In the second step, expansion permutation is done. We had two 32-bit plain text areas called left plain text and right plain text. During the expansion permutations, the RPT is expanded from 32 bits to 48 bits. Bits are permutated as well, hence called expansion permutation. This happens as the 32 bits RTP is divided into 8 blocks, which each block contains of 4 bits. Then each 4 bits of the previous step is then expanded to a corresponding 6 bits block, that is 4-bit block, and 2 more bits are added. In this we can see the original write plain text of 32 bits of block 1 bit, block 2 bits, block 8 bits. First bit contains of 4 bits, second block contains of 4 bits, and so on. Block 8 contains of 4 bits. In this data encryption standard, that is the asymmetric key generation for the encryption of digital data in cryptography. Therefore, its short key length of 56 bits of character criticized from the beginning or starting marks it too insecure or safe for most current applications to use. It have been highly influenced in the advancement of modern cryptography in the cryptanalysis. It was developed in the year 1970s at IBM and depends on an earlier design by Horst Festil. The algorithm was submitted to the National Bureau of Standards following the agency's invitations to propose a candidate for the protection of sensitive, unclassified electronic government data in the cryptography. It will be developed in 1976. Cryptography after consultations with the National Security Agency, the NBS eventually selected a slightly modified version in the cryptography as strengthened against differential cryptanalysis techniques, but weakened against brute force attack, which was described as an official federal information processing standard for the United States in 1977 in the whole world. In the process of encryption, the DES algorithm, which is a block cipher and encrypts data in the block size of 64 bits each of the messages, means 64 bit of plain text or original text goes as the input into the DES, which produces 64 bit of the character of ciphertext. A similar algorithm and a key are used for encryption and decryption with minor differences between them. Here the key length is 56 bits long uses in cryptography in cryptanalysis. And the round key generation forms 48 bits key out of a 56 bit cipher key in the cryptography. The process of key generation is depicted in the following steps. Initially, key is of 64 bits, then it goes under P1, and after that it develops key of 56 bits. The 56 bits of key divided into two halves. Let of 28 bits and right of 28 bits. In both half to the circular left shift according to the round which we perform. As we perform 1 to 9 16, we do circular left shift by 1 bit and remaining round circular left shift by 2 bits. After that combine the left and right half and from again 56 bit of key. Then again 56 bit of key goes under P1 as from the key of 48 bits. This key is used in the DES block diagram. In the round function, the main or important, the heart of the cipher is the DES function. This DES function applies 48 bit key cryptography to the rightmost 32 bits to produce a 32 bit output as a write. This function follows some steps like expansion permutation box, XOR with the key of 48 bit, substitution box, and permutation box. S boxes carries out the real mixing as confusion. DES uses 8 X boxes, each the 6-bit input as plain text and 4-bit output as its substitutes. Permutation, the 32 bits output of X boxes is then subjected to the straight permutation as it has a table according to the So we simplify update the values by seen in and give an output of 32 bits which further uses as of the right.